This is super interesting. In the last few days, there have been some tweets floating around and articles saying that the American right has now gone from the war on Christmas to the war on Thanksgiving as a sort of replacement to the non-existent war on Christmas that they've been touting for like a decade at this point. So as a reminder, the war on Christmas is supposed hostility to Christmas and to Christians that the right says exists in the United States by the left. And this stems from the idea that a few years ago, there have been many people saying, saying happy holidays is more inclusive than saying Merry Christmas when you don't know somebody's religion. Listen, if you're a Christian and you're talking to a Christian, say Merry Christmas. It might be more inclusive, like at Starbucks, for example, or maybe at a place of work or whatever, to say happy holidays. That's it. That's the genesis and the catalyst for the so-called war on Christmas that the right has been talking about now for a decade. We have Thanksgiving coming up here in the United States during a global pandemic. And so there are more and more governors and state public health officials saying you really shouldn't have large indoor gatherings at Thanksgiving. That's how the virus spreads. And in fact, even at this point in time, most contagion is happening inside people's homes, either between family members or friends who are spending time in close proximity to each other in indoor spaces. We know the virus spreads more indoors than outdoors. We know that being around someone for hours rather than minutes is more likely to spread it. We're closing in potentially on 200,000 cases per day in a few weeks. Yesterday, we had 1,600 deaths. So especially with vaccines hopefully coming soon, it seems, this is a time to be careful rather than reckless. So the war on Christmas right-wingers have now taken the opportunity to claim that the left is waging a war on Thanksgiving. Here's one short clip. This is a guy named Charlie Kirk, who shockingly is sometimes promoted by Donald Trump and others. Take a look at this.
The left has always hated Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving can be interpreted as a religious holiday if you believe in giving thanks to a creator. But they hate Thanksgiving because they believe there is nothing you should be thankful for in America. This is an awful place. It is cancerous, rotten to the core. Tear it all down. Burn it from within. Why would you be thankful? Instead, we need a revolution. Remember, as the Students for a Democratic Society radicals once wrote in the 1960s, they said, conflict is the origin of everything. What happens when you're thankful? By definition, you're less likely to be involved and engaged in conflict. Thanksgiving is supposed to de-escalate any sort of pre-existing issues in our country. And now they're using the virus as an excuse for you not to be thankful. We'll be right back.
Now, Charlie clearly is just upset that he's still not allowed to sit at the adult table at Thanksgiving. They're keeping him at the kids' table, and he's just absolutely furious. But everything he's saying is completely untrue. The left has never been opposed to being thankful. The questions about Thanksgiving were never religious. They were more about acknowledging that Thanksgiving has another side to it, just like Columbus Day, which is the genocide of Native Americans by early American settlers. But that's not even the issue here. What I want to remind you is that the entire war on Thanksgiving thing is not new. So the point here is they now are acting as though this is a fact-based reaction to guidelines around the pandemic. A year ago, there was no pandemic, and they were still talking about a war on Thanksgiving. Check this clip out from Fox News last Thanksgiving, more than a year ago.
Prepare their travel plans and dinner menus for Turkey Day, otherwise known as Thanksgiving. Cancel culture has turned on the holiday.
The Huffington Post seriously suggesting Americans skip spending time with family, instead forgoing travel to save our planet.
Here to react, comedian Michael Loftus. Michael, great to see you as always. Let's put on a screen the title of this article. It is called The Environmental Impact of Your Thanksgiving Dinner. And here's what they want to get rid of. Cue full screen. They want to take turkey out of the turkey dinner because of your carbon footprint. Cut down on travel for both yourself and your food. I'm often interested in my food's travel. And pare down the endless sides and apps. Now, when I heard this, all joking aside, I got viscerally angry because to me, this is the latest attempt to tear down an American tradition that was fine and didn't need any help. What say you?
Amen, brother. Cut it out.
That is not a skit. That is a real segment from Fox News from last year. Here is another Fox News segment from last year.
We've heard about the war on Christmas, but now college students are declaring a war on Thanksgiving.
Forget the war on Christmas. The left is now going after Thanksgiving.
This was pitched as the war on Thanksgiving.
They want to fight a war on Thanksgiving. They lost the war on Christmas. They want to fight again?
PC police, well, they have a new target. Thanksgiving.
Cancel culture has turned on the holiday.
Cancel Thanksgiving dinner.
I'm very sad to announce we have to cancel Thanksgiving.
All across America, a growing number of students and professors claim we need to throw away our turkeys.
No turkey, no traveling.
Cranberry sauce and mashed potatoes are bad for the planet.
We need to cancel Thanksgiving.
Cancel Thanksgiving.
Telling America to cancel Thanksgiving.
Cancel Thanksgiving and control how many kids you have. I'm not making this up.
So there's a few things going on here. First of all, money is being made by these people just creating anger among their followers for anything. There's actually lots to be angry about. We have food lines in Texas this week, in one of the richest countries in the world. We have a president who has stopped doing anything as a global 100-year pandemic is raging. He's had nothing on his schedule for a week. We could have health care for everybody, but we don't. Like, there's no shortage of things to be mad about. But none of that anger would be useful to the American right. So instead, they get people fired up about these inane non-issues and conspiracy theories. Joe Biden stole the election. There's a war on Thanksgiving. And that is horrifying. But it is a very lucrative grift for them. And then the irony of it, if you can call it that, is that they are actually doing what they claim the left is doing. In other words, they say the left wants people mad about either Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever. That's not true. They want people mad at the left, though, about the non-existent attacks on Christmas and Thanksgiving that they claim exist. They are doing what they falsely claim the left is actually doing. It's just more projection, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. One of the things I make a priority on the show is not to perpetuate stigma for things that don't deserve it. We've talked about mental health. We've talked about many things where we should all just be respectful adults, period, and we would be better off. And Blue Chew can increase performance and give you that extra confidence you may be looking for. BlueChew.com, blue like the color blue, is the first chewable with the same FDA-approved ingredient as in Viagra and Cialis. It can be taken day or night, even on a full stomach, since it's chewable. Blue Chew is prescribed online by licensed doctors. You don't have to go to a doctor's office. You don't have to wait in line at a pharmacy. It ships right to your door in a discreet package. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, it's cheaper than a pharmacy. And best of all, no more awkwardness. We've got a special deal for our viewers and listeners. Go to BlueChew.com. Get your first shipment free when you use our promo code Pakman. That's Pakman. Pay just $5 shipping. That's BLUE Chew.com. Promo code Pakman to try it totally free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice. And we thank them for sponsoring the David Pakman Show.